Okay, so here's the thing. Recently I've been noticing that a lot of guys my age, mid-30s and upwards, surprisingly don't actually have much of a clue about training. I guess for me, working in a gym, living almost in a gym, I spend more time here than I do at home. It's easy for me to forget that most of you guys with your businesses or your jobs or your life in general don't really have the time to learn all the things you need to know about training, which is kind of why I'm here really. It's why the group exists, to try and give you that helping hand, that leg up, and to help sort of give the information you need. So this video really it's a fairly long one, but I just want to throw together for you what I feel for men our age are the most basic fundamentals of a training program and what you should be aiming for, okay? First thing is, I'm 37 now. I now notice if I train too hard on a Wednesday, I'm still fucked on Sunday, okay? Like exhausted. That didn't happen when I was fucking 27, let me tell you, but it happens now. That's not to say we can't train hard. It is just to say that we also need to train smart. So I'm going to just run through, like I said just now, things that you should include in your training program, and maybe the way you should approach your training, all right, regardless of your goals. My aim always, when I was younger, was just to not be fat, right? And I managed to not be fat most of the time, but then not fat turned into a little bit fat, which turned into a bit fatter, and suddenly I'd gone from being pretty fit and strong to being pretty out of shape. So it is important to have a goal that's a little bit more than just not be fat, but at the same time, trying to go for this kind of cover model physique, for most of us, myself included, that's not really, what can I say? That's not really a long-term goal, right? The long-term goal is to stay as lean as possible, to build as much muscle mass as possible, to stay as strong as you can and move as well as you can. Those are the really important things, okay? Staying lean, staying strong, keeping muscle mass and keeping movement quality. Because those are the things that are going to keep you young into your 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and even beyond. Okay, it's when you stop having those things that you suddenly become unhealthy, you become old, decrepit, and then you get into the end of your 50s, into your 60s, and you're starting to have to rely on other people to do your shit, or to clean up your actual shit, okay? And so the aim really is to keep those four things. Is the aim physically for you as a man to maintain strength, to stay lean, to have good movement, and to keep that muscle mass. Now, from the age of 30 and definitely from the age of 40, if we don't do anything, we lose muscle mass fairly quickly. So we are in that kind of daily, and I mean daily, battle to build and maintain as much lean muscle mass as we can. Because if we do, then we'll be 80 years old and we'll be looking fucking good. If we don't, we'll be in our 60s and be fucked. So that's really the approach, okay? Fuck being a cover model. You know, you're in your mid-30s or older than that. We can still look fucking good. We can still look like James Bond. But we need to maintain those four overarching goals. Now, with those things in mind, there are a certain bunch of movements that you should have in any training program, okay? I don't care who you got it from, where you heard it from, what it is you're doing, what it's called, or whatever, okay? The body is the fucking human body. It has things that it needs to do. So listen to this. This is an important part for you if you put your own training programs together, okay? Things you need to address. The squat movement. That's going from a standing position to a squatted position and back up on 2 feet. You've got back squats, you've got front squats, you've got overhead squats, you've got the Zercher squats, goblet squats, bodyweight squats. There's a whole array of squatting movements to choose from, but there needs to be a squatting movement, at least one, in your training program. There should also be a lunge-based movement, okay? This is more addressing the kind of single leg kind of work that you should be doing. So it could be as basic as a lunge or a split squat, a Bulgarian split squat. It could be sprints, it could be walking lunges, but a kind of split stance, single leg lunge type movement, okay? The last one for the lower body is the hinge. So if you've got the technique for it, do the deadlift and the kettlebell swing. Okay, in terms of the hinge movement, you don't need anything else outside of those two things. Deadlift, kettlebell swing. If you can't do those, you're going to need someone like me to show you what you can do or to teach you how to do those movements. I highly recommend you get someone to teach you how to do them. And even if you think you're doing them well, it's always good to at least film yourself from the side and take a look and see if your back is as flat as it feels. Because most of the time when guys come into my gym, and I love doing this, right? When I teach people a new movement and they tell me they've done it before, I just ask them, show me your best deadlift. Don't lift the bar, but just get to the position where you're about to lift the bar. And more often than not, these guys end up looking like a scared cat or a tortoise rather than a fucking well-positioned deadlift machine, okay? So that's your deadlift, that's all your lower body, squats, lunges, deadlifts, the hinge. Then you basically need two types of pushing movement, two types of pulling movement, okay? Two types of pushing, you've got this direction, your classic bench press, or anything that pushes your hands out in front of your body from whatever position you are, and you've got the overhead pushing position, okay? Those are the two types of press or push that you need in your workout. It could be single hand, it could be double-handed, it could be push-ups, bench press, military press, anything that ends in the word press, really, or push. And then you need the two types of pull. So if you're gonna push this way, then to stay in balance, you need to pull that way. If you're gonna press this way, to stay in balance, you need to pull this way, okay? That's the most basic upper body movements, okay? Press, pull, pull. That's that, all right? Ideally, you'll have some kind of rotational work in there to work the core, and you'll have some kind of carry like farmer's walks, just to call it armor building, okay? Doing heavy farmer's walks, heavy loaded carries, sandbags and stuff like that really develops a deep inner core strength, which then helps to actually support your spine and your entire skeleton, strengthens the core and helps to transfer power from the legs up to the arms and vice versa, and just generally makes you a stronger and more awesome dude. So those are the things from a strength and movement perspective that you need to add or have in your training program, okay? And obviously you also want to be doing some cardio. I would suggest anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes of medium to high intensity cardio 3 to 5 times a week, okay? Something that either gets you out of breath or to the point of feeling fucking sick, okay? All right. Okay, I'm gonna pause that there. You always walk in when I'm fucking recording, Ross. You always walk in when I'm recording a video, don't you? I should put a warning sign up. Fucking keep up. It's all right, man. Cheers. Right, so those are, as I was just interrupted by Ross, but that's now sorted. Those are your movements that you need to include. That's the kind of level of cardio, and like I was saying, that cardio wants to be at least getting your heart rate up pretty high. Sometimes pushing it to the point where you feel a little bit nauseous. Don't actually push it to the point where you're sick, that's silly, but get towards that point, okay? So we've talked about balance, we've talked about the 4 main goals that you want to have, we've talked about the types of movement and a little bit of cardio. I'm going to come back later in the week, because I've realised it's just 10 minutes already, I'm going to come back later in the week with some more on this topic. Peace!